Good afternoon and welcome to Nora's Dog Training Company. We're here this afternoon with Symba and one of her trainers, Rich, and what we're going to be demonstrating for you today on video is Symba's transformation from a rowdy little puppy to a nice adolescent lady doing all of her obedience commands. And by owner's request, she has been trained on the right side, which is hard for us and unusual for me when I'm talking about training because typically all training is done on the left. So Rich is using a regular 6-foot training leash and he keeps the bulk of the leash folded neatly in his left hand, leaving the right hand free to give the correction. So this is her on-leash training and the correction is a tug and let go on the training collar. And that is the second piece of equipment that we're using for on-leash work. And you'll be taught how to use your training equipment properly during your private coaching with Rich tomorrow. Now Symba is sitting very nicely at Rich's right, which is where her obedience training is done, and the first exercise that they're going to demonstrate for you on leash is heeling.
Symba, heel.
The command is Symba heel, and at this point Symba has a job to do, and her job is to stay even with Rich's right leg, not forging ahead or lagging behind, but always matching pace with her trainer, and each time that he stops his feet, she has been taught to sit automatically and wait for her next command. So this makes walking your dog a pleasure when you're out in public and you want to take her with you. She knows how to behave properly on a leash, not drag you down the street, and if you stop to talk to someone, she sits quietly at your right and waits for her next command. And the next command that we're going to demonstrate for you is the stay. The stay is a hand and a voice command. Rich is going to use the open flat of his palm right in front of her muzzle and the one-word firm command to stay. So you only use her name on motion exercises. Stationary exercises are one-word commands. In basic obedience, the long sit stay is for 1 minute, working up to 3 minutes, and you see her focus on her trainer. She's ignoring me, which is exactly right. And when Rich returns back to her, he will walk all the way around her, ending up back where she is on his right, ready for her next command. And they're going to run through their heel and automatic sit and stay on leash again for us. If you speed up, she should speed up. If you slow down or change direction, she should do the same. So you can walk as slowly as you wish and she matches pace with you. And when you stop walking, she sits automatically and waits for her next command. And Rich is going to leave her in another stay. And we're going to demonstrate the recall or the come on command. This is the second exercise where you are going to use her name. She should come right in front of you and sit, and that eliminates all that jumping all over you. And then she returns back to heel and back sitting, ready for her next command. Well done. And Rich will heel her out of that exercise and we'll demonstrate that recall exercise again for you. And that's a very important exercise to have in your vocabulary that you share with your dog, because I know you're going to go to your country house and you're going to have her off leash and you want her to be responsive.
Stay.
Rich leaves her in a sit stay.
Symba, come.
He uses her name and she should come right in front and sit. And then she returns back to heel position and back sitting. Very good girl, Symba. And now Rich is going to set up for our down commands on leash. So the first one is a down from heel position. So with the dog seated at your right, you're going to use your right hand, open palm, straight down toward the ground and the one-word command to down.
Stay.
And then you leave her in a stay. And I want you to practice your exercises in your home as well as outside, because you need house manners as well as outdoor manners, and both are very important. This is a 3 to 5 minute long down stay. Rich returns all the way back around her, and each time you return to heel position, that is the time that she's waiting for you to tell her what you want her to do next. So Rich will heel her out of that. And he's going to demonstrate that down from a heel one more time. Nice sit.
No. Down.
Now, if she doesn't lay down, that was exactly you say no. You give her a little correction on the training collar. Repeat the command. And then Rich will call her out of this down stay. Coaxes her in, talks to her, encourages her. She really tries very hard to be a good girl. She really does. Now the next exercise that we're going to demonstrate for you is your down from a distance. This is a little bit harder exercise because the dog isn't next to you. You always have your dog sitting before you give her
Stay.
the down command. Rich walks out to the end of his training leash. He's going to use his, I guess he's going to use his right hand to give the command, and drops her into a down from a distance. That was very well done. So now these are all of your basic obedience commands on the leash. Now Rich is going to show you the transition. And we are going to recommend to you, Scott, that you work her on leash first.
Symba heel.
He throws the leash up over his shoulder, takes his hands off the leash. And this is how you're going to transition her at home, Scott. And she's heeling with actually off leash because Rich doesn't have his hands on the leash. And this requires a lot of verbal communication between you and the dog, because at that point you don't have your leash as your crutch. So everything has to be verbal communication, encouraging her, talking to her, keeping her focused on you. Now Rich will drop the leash and leave her in a sit stay. And this is basically intermediate obedience training. From here, he can either return to her, call her, drop her into a down. So you can have a lot of fun with the training as you're working through all of these different things. And we're going to be here to help you with it, because you're not going to become a dog trainer in an afternoon. So he's heeling her, no hands on the leash, she's staying right with him.
Stay.
He leaves her again in a sit stay, and I'm just really basically narrating what they're doing at this point.
Symba, come.
Calls her in off leash, has her, she sits right in front. She returns back to heel, which is the finish exercise. Back sitting, perfectly done, and he praises her up for a good job. So now we're going to do the drum roll. We're going to take her completely off leash.
So take it off now. I know she's getting fatigued, so.
Okay, so Rich is taking her leash completely off because she's getting tired.
Symba heel.
And they're working completely off leash now, no leash involved whatsoever. He's taken the leash completely off of her. She's heeling with him. Automatic sit. He's talking to her to keep her focused and motivated.
Stay.
Leaves her in a sit stay, walks away.
Symba, come.
Calls her. Very nicely done, Symba. Now this is hours and man hours and hours and hours of training for this young Rottie, because she is just a young girl, under a year old.
Symba heel.
And for a young Rottie female like this to be completely off leash at her age is a really good thing. You have a good dog here, Scott. She's trying really hard. This takes a lot of self-control on the part of the dog,
Stay.
especially a young whippersnapper like her.
Down.
Now if she doesn't go down, Rich says no, and he took a step in toward her and repeated the command. She's done a really, really great video. And Rich is one of her favorite people, so he's going to be bringing her home to you. And be prepared to put your tennis shoes on and work along. Rich will help you and coach you as much as we can for your first lesson, and we're going to be there to continue to coach you, Scott. We really, really appreciate your business and your support. Thank you so much for choosing Nora's to do all of your dog training needs. We want to be there for you in Symba for life. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon.